Good morning. Today's devotion, Holy Week reflection, is considering Holy Wednesday, this day in Passion Week. Holy is the wrong word, though, to put in front of this day. That's why some have called it Spy Wednesday. It is a day not to consider Christ as much as to consider the treachery of one of the disciples, the one who betrayed Christ with a kiss, Judas. Jesus most likely spent this day in the small village of Bethany, surrounded by his friends, while Judas pursued an opportunity to turn the tension between Jesus and the leaders of Israel into an opportunity to make money. We read about this in Matthew 26. Matthew wrote, "One of the 12 disciples, the one named Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and asked, 'What will you give me if I betray Jesus to you?' They counted out 30 silver coins and gave them to him, and from then on, Judas was looking for a good chance to hand Jesus over to them. I wonder if he thought, they're going to kill him anyway, I might as well make a little money here. Was he an opportunist? One to benefit from the pain of others? You bet he was. Sounds like the Judas we know, right? But did you know people in crisis situations still do this very thing? It's true. People sometimes profit from the pain and misery of others, especially in a crisis situation like a pandemic. So, how sinister was Judas anyway? Is he any worse than a corporation that sells a life saving drug for 50 times what it costs in another country? Because it calculates the value of a life instead of the reasonable cost of production and profit? Is Judas any worse than a pharmaceutical company making the path to opioid addiction effortless for millions struggling with pain? Well, Pastor, that's just business. Judas betrayed Jesus. Of course he is sinister. He betrayed the Lord. But did he really? No one took Jesus' life. He gave it up. He said so. And if Jesus was omniscient, Jesus knew what was up. He even told Judas at the table, "Go and do what you must, that the scriptures might be fulfilled." Still, Judas hurt Jesus, so we hate him. In our minds, he gets sent straight to hell in the company of the other great murderers in history, like the Hitlers and Stalins. But if we believe Christ's own teaching in Matthew 25, then this Judas Iscariot must have had many millions of twisted soulmates throughout history and today. You see, Jesus said these words, "As you do to the least of these, you have done to me." Jesus so readily self-identifies with the sick, the poor, the outcast, the broken, and the captive, that to care for them is to care for him, literally. And to betray them, to profit off of them, is to get your own 30 pieces of silver. Yeah, without all the Holy Week drama. Judas did not love money more than anything. He loved himself. His crime was that he saw an opportunity to profit and took it. This is human nature. This is why the government will prosecute you if you up the price of consumables during a crisis. A $10,000 fine and up to a year in jail for price gouging in California during a crisis. That law is there because people do this very thing. It is important on Wednesday to look at Judas and to think about our own souls. Now, I remember preachers who used to say, "We crucified Jesus. We would have shouted away with him." I always thought that was garbage theology. I still do. We, the followers of Christ, would not have yelled crucified. And there were many followers who watched silently and wept at the injustice of that day. No, we would not have yelled crucify him. But I wonder, all these years later, if so much of our collective silence at the Judases in the world is nothing but a silent betrayal of Christ, a great sin of omission. If we're going to be angry at Judas, let us get angry at all injustice. Judas felt remorse so deep, he threw the silver back at the priest's feet, went out and took his own life. which was tragedy upon tragedy. And I would wish no such end on any human being. But this world could use a lot more remorse for injustice. Father, Jesus prays 2 days later, Father, forgive them. They do not know what they are doing. And may we rise from the humility of remorse, not in self-destruction like Judas, but may we rise from the humility of remorse with resolve to heal the world around us and to be like Jesus. Amen.